Hello and welcome to the Performance Racing League PRL. You are joined with me, Lucas Aid, and today we are at Spa-Francorchamps for round 7. Sorry, round 9 even. And you join me as Flying Grayson leaves the pit in the McLaren. So let's go on board with him and set everything up. In the meantime, I'm just going to take a look at the standings because it's been a couple of weeks, I think, since I last checked in with Tier 2. I just want to see who's doing well and who we should be following, really. So we have H-Ins on an outlap, Chucky on an outlap, Jimmy and Camo. Looks like the McLaren wasn't one that left. Must have my eyes must have deceived me earlier. Must have been a different car. But either way, let's run through the order. So we've got 60 minutes left of qualifying, and after last round, which was Spain, we have Timgra leading after a second place finish at Spain and the first place at Las Vegas. He's leading by 26 points over H-Ins, who had been having a fantastic season, but I believe missed the last race and DNF'd at the previous. So that has somewhat swung it, but on average results, you'd have to say H-Ins probably is the most informed driver so far this season. Jimmy Pull-Up is currently in third place, with his lowest finish when he's raced being a third place. So I think he was busy for the first 3 races to do with moving house, I believe, or family things, and now he's back. He's looking fantastic. I've actually raced alongside him a couple of years ago now, I believe, and he is a fantastic driver. Definitely one to watch. Right, it seems that there was a bit of an audio glitch, but that seems to have resolved itself now. So let's go on board with H-Ins, the man of the moment, as he prepares for his hot lap. But just running back through that order in the meantime, so Northern Calic in 4th, a very solid performer, always right up there, and a Constructors Champion with Mercedes, I believe, 2 years ago. He's 107 points off the lead, but again, every race he's done, his average finish really is around P3 mark, so very good from him. But anyway, let's go on board with H-Ins in the Alpine and see how he does. So braking just after the 100 metre line, dips it in, kisses the curb, straightens the car up, elects to stay in gear 3, so higher gear than some drivers, and now shifts all the way up down this lovely section towards Eau Rouge. It's going to keep the car very far left over the curb, try and straighten it out as much as possible, keep that average speed. He's going to activate DRS as he makes his way down this fantastic long straight, the name of which I've forgotten. One wheel on the curb, slightly misses the apex, then runs sensibly over that left-hand curb and tries to straighten out this corner, sticking in gear 5, which often, especially in quali soft trim, does very well for you. This corner, very difficult and very easy to lock up, but really gets that rotation, keeps that car nice and glued to the inside, kisses the left-hand curb. Could have taken a bit more curb there, but still good amount of speed. And now towards Radion, one of the most difficult corners, especially with worn tyres. I've spun out there a couple of times. Sticks it in gear 7 and up to 8. Really nice through that. I thought he was actually a bit late on the brakes, but perfect car control. Nice and early up into gear 5 as he tries to straighten this corner. That's it. You've got to be super aggressive there, right over that curb as much as you can. These cars are far more stable than last season's cars. And this is already looking like a really good lap, to be fair. It's all now just about being very smooth through this left-hander without hitting the grass. That's it, just straightening out. And then for the very difficult final chicane, brakes really nice and early, kisses that inside curb, kisses that final curb, straightens it up, straight on the throttle, cuts the straight to the finish line, and his reward is a 1:43.209, and that is a fantastic lap time. Very good lap. Jimmy sensibly getting out of the way with 1:44.8. Right, so many drivers on their laps now. So you've got Flying Grayson, who I mistakenly thought had already left, who's now on his hot lap. Logan Ames setting a 1:44.1. So within the 1 second mark. It's only their first runs, it's not too bad. You see Grayson just slightly less aggressive on the curbs, but then a bit too early on the throttle. Is going to lose a bit of time, and unfortunately now 1:47 after that mistake. Northern going back into the pit, so maybe he made a little mistake or wasn't happy, something there. Either way, he has elected to go back into the pits and has not set a lap time. Let's see how Sati Jackie fares. Battery life's absolutely fine. Nice, it's good to see these drivers getting up into gear 5 really early with strong amounts of throttle. Different lines through that corner. Takes a slightly wider line than H-Ins. Nice and aggressive over the curbs though. In the meantime, TAC Delta with a 148.8 in the Williams. Nice and sensible through the last corner. Early on the throttle, good amounts of traction, doesn't choose to straight line the exit and still sets a 143.178. Well, if that last little run was anything to go by, Jackie has clearly got some pace there. Really nice and smooth on the throttle. I really like to see that sort of driving style. Now it looks like H-Ins is going for a second run on the same set of soft tyres. It's something I often do. Let's see how he fares. Almost identical sector one time and immediately invalidates. See that right up over the curb. That left wheel just left the track for a millisecond and his lap is now invalidated. But it was good to see the attempt to do a second run on those tyres because at the end of the day, you can only, well, you should in theory only be able to go faster on a new set. So why not get the experience on the first set of tyres, dive into the pit and then do a final stint on a second set of softs. Also, the other benefit is it saves that third set of soft tyres in case anything happens in the race. At Spa, it should be noted that a lot of drivers will be starting on the medium or soft tyre, so a lot more soft usage than people expect or may expect. So even more important not to necessarily burn through the softs in case of any late safety cars or issues if you've already used a set of softs. Dark Juice massively improved over the last couple of years. As I say that though, runs really wide and it's probably lap over, but nonetheless done really well all season. And yeah, repping that Red Bull. Just running slightly wide. I actually did that in the race, but that was when I had a car next to me, so I was kind of forced a little bit wide, let's say. And I assume TAC Delta, based on his battery level, is just taking this home. Yeah, into gear 5 and 6. Flying Grayson's massively improved, so this is a hot lap. And he made the mistake on the exit of this upcoming chicane, so let's see how he handles it. Very early on the brakes this time. Just misses the curb, just misses the second one, perhaps by choice. But nice and smooth on the exit here. He's going to straight line it to the finish line, and a 145.8 puts him into provisional P7. However, we do have P9 through 14 yet to set a lap time, so that's 6 drivers even yet to set a time, 5 of which are already on their outlap, with Defer, Camo, Deliberate, Tilwick 14, a runner I've not seen or heard of actually yet, so welcome if you are new, and if not, sorry that I've missed you, and welcome anyway. And Dookie in the other house, great driver, Canadian. So what do we have now? We have H-Ins, who is setting another lap time on the soft tyres. So clearly just after he aborted, must have gone back onto another lap, conserved his battery. And weirdly, as I've joined him again, I've just noticed, A, he's invalidated, and B, his sector time was within about 100th of a lap. So if this is anything to go by, he is a super quick driver, but needs to iron out some of those track limits violations. Clearly has the pace though to battle for pole and for a championship here at PRL, the Performance Racing League. And for those that have just joined, it's round 9, we're at Spa, and your commentator today is Lucas Aid. Tafur in P10, so let's see how he fares in Sector 1. Tafur's been around PRL for a very long time, quite a veteran now of the league. Ooh, slightly locked up, I think the rears potentially, which is quite unusual on a downhill braking zone. A lot of confidence there for Radion. Oh! Okay, so track... I mean, probably in real F1 that would have been a track limits violation, but the game's let it off. I don't think any time was gained, that's for sure. Down to gear 3, up to 4, and it's going to keep that throttle glued to the floor all the way until the final chicane, where you really can gain or lose a lot of time. Oof, over that curb. And he's got a driver right behind him. His teammate, no, sorry, it's not his teammate. But one of the Haas is obviously caught up, so to fill with the 145. It was actually Dookie that ended up setting clearly such a great lap, which put him into P5, that he caught up to the back of Tafur, so a bit frustrating potentially. But either way, I think 5th and 6th for the Haas boys, they'll be pretty happy with that. Nothing that Tafur could have done, he was just setting his lap. As Dutch, Grayson and Tag Delta all make their way in the pit. It's Deliberate and Northern still... Sorry, it's Deliberate still in the pit, but Northern Canuck is now on an out lap, which the game isn't highlighting. But he's just preparing for what will now be his second attempt at his first hot lap. Jimmy Pull-Up looking good in the Mercedes, looking really good in PRL, and a fantastic suite of podiums all throughout the last, I think, 5 races of this season. Let's see what he can do. Already in P3, we didn't see his lap time, and obviously he's on an in-lap now, but fantastic to see him up there again, fighting it out with H-Ins and Jackie. I imagine most of these drivers will now be going into the pits. Dookie Hoser perhaps actually on a lap. Maybe he's gone for a second one. I'm amazed he has the battery life to achieve that. But no, plus 2 seconds, so I think he is on an in-lap. I take it back. Just looked like he was racing hard. Right, so Northern Canuck now, sorry, just apologies, I just missed the end of his lap, but has gone into P8 in the Williams with a 1:44.589. I'm just reading the comments. Yep, it's good to see good progress from Sati Jackie. Always good to see progress from drivers, especially in Tier 2. A lot of young drivers here, a lot of drivers new to sort of motorsport in general and esports. And amazing to see them progressing. A lot of drivers, you'd be surprised just how many actually started out in Tier 2. I mean, for me, I started really in Tier 3 back when there was a 3rd tier in PRL. So there's certainly a long way that you can go. Hopefully they can do better than me and make it all the way to Premier one day. Right, looks like Logan Aim is on a hot lap, but it's a bit of wheel on the grass. I think it's the second down, so I'm a bit confused. It's hard to tell from that. I was imagining pretty much everyone to be going into the pits, except for the 2 that hadn't, or one of the 2 that hadn't set. So yeah, Deliberate going out, that makes sense. And Grayson just wanted to get out ahead of the pack. Can make sense actually. I just really hope that he doesn't end up setting his hot lap as the others all go on their out laps, because that could get nasty. Right, Northern attempting to set a second lap potentially is only 3 attempts down, so do you know what, if that's an in-lap on 5% battery, to be 3 attempts down, it's a very good sign. That should give him a lot of confidence as he now dives into the pits, and he'll have just enough time to put on a fresh set of softs and hopefully battle it out for the podium, if that last little Sector 3 time was anything to go by. So as it stands, Sati Jackie in provisional pole with a 1:43.178. H-Ins just behind, only 3 or 200ths of a second down. So incredible scenes there as he just now goes out on an outlap, H-Ins. So he's gearing up. It's going down that main straight. We have Jimmy Pull-Up in 3rd on a 1:43.4, so just 2.5 tenths off of H-Ins. 2 tenths behind him is Logan Aim. 2 tenths behind him is Noob. So you can see just how close it is. And then really the first significant gap is between 5th and 6th, and that's only half a second. And the 2 Haas boys setting really good times actually, so good to see. I think Northern has a lot more in his locker. I think Dookie has more in his locker there. Dutch as well. So I do expect to see some quite impressive improvements. And I think this could shape up to be a really, really close session. But let's go on board with Flying Grayson. He is the first to cross that line for his second stint and probably final stint in the McLaren. I'll try and monitor all the drivers because this really is the crucial part of quali. Grayson actually 500ths down so far in Sector 1. That is not what he would have wanted to have seen. Running a little bit wide there as well on the right-hander, so not perfect from him, but still plenty of lap time to make up. Slightly dives wide, maybe might be sensible enough to back out. Oh, and that's really unfortunate. He has DNF'd out of the session. Around wide, got marbles on those left-hand tyres. A little bit too much throttle with too much tyre lock, and he has gone straight into the barrier and DNFs. What a shame. In the meantime, we have Noob now as he makes his way onto his final lap, just being able to get past the Haas. Whoa. A little bit close for comfort with the Haas, I have to say. But either way, he continues on. Onto that main straight and opens up DRS, but I do want to kind of follow H-Ins at the same time, so let's try and hop between those two if we can, and let's just see where the others are. Jackie a little while away, so Sassy, Jackie and Jimmy on Sector 3, so let's go on board with H-Ins. Really unfortunate for Grayson though, I think just a little bit of experience there, just needed to know that the lap was over, just back out and simply just recharge the battery and you've got another run. He had time, he had plenty of time to make it back to the start finish line. I'm pretty sure anyway. Yeah, I'm 90% sure. In fact, I'm 100% sure he could have made it. Anyway, H-In's good lap time so far, just slightly down I believe, but really small margins. Look how aggressive he is there, that was full commitment through Rani on there. Couldn't really have taken that much faster. Runs a little bit wide on this right left hander, and that makes a big difference, I will be honest. When it comes down to pole, those little mistakes, they do add up. You want to be running gear 5 right out of that curve, but he's still 1/10 down. So as it stands, he's looking good enough. It's a purple Sector 2, a green Sector 1. What about Sati Jackie? A purple Sector 1 and 2/10 improvement from Sati Jackie in the Red Bull. So it looks like Jackie, all he needs to do is just take it home with his consistent pace. Nothing really H-Ins can do unless he can pull off a miracle here in the chicane, the final 2 corners of this fantastic Spa-Francorchamps lap. And he brings it home in provisional pole at a 1:42.9. But will it be enough? Probably not. Sati Jackie 2/10 down, so right now it's touch and go. So H-In's clearly made up a ton of time in Sector 2 and 3, and Jackie hasn't improved much in Sector 1. But it looks like he's only green, so has someone else gone purple in Sector 1? We'll have to see and wait for another time for that. But let's stay on board with the Red Bull. Oh, and he's run wide. Oh, he's run wide. I think he had to lift. He's gone purple. He's 5/10 down. 5/10 of an improvement, I should say, which is absolutely incredible, but I'm quite shocked it didn't get track limits. It looked like all of his car had just gone off the track. It must have been millimetres in it there with that right-hand tyre. I think he lost a bit of speed on the exit, happy to sort of back out, but this could be pole. Let's have a look through the final corner. Very ginger, to be fair, through the last corners, but just knew he didn't need to do anything too much, and a 1:42.6. What a lap time. But Jimmy Pull-Up has improved by almost 3/10, so where will this put him? Probably P3 still. Yeah, a 1:43.2. So really good driving from that top 3. Very close together, but Jackie with an insane lap time. Must have been right on the limit. Maybe even slightly fortunate in the end not to get track limits on Sector 3, or in Sector 3. But nonetheless, a fantastic pole position by him in the Red Bull. What a season he is now having, it seems. Definitely improving a lot. H-Ins, I don't think he'll mind too much with a P2, given the standings, given who he's fighting. So a fantastic performance. Timgra, it looks like he was unable to make the race. And as our current championship leader, that's a real shame. And it has given H-Ins and Jimmy the chance to get right back up into the top. Noob as well though, so if you look at this, I think of the top 5, I would say only Northern really sort of failing perhaps to live up to his potential in quali. The rest are already doing just what you'd expect. So a fantastic qualifying session at PRL Tier 2. It was round 9 at Spa-Francorchamps in the short quali format. And we have in pole position Sati Jackie in the Red Bull with a 1:42.6. H-Ins rounds off the top row in the Alpine with a 1:42.937. Jimmy Pull-Up in P3 in the Mercedes with 1:43.2, great lap. Noob in 4th in the Ferrari, Logan Aim in 5th, Cambo in 6th, Dookie Hoser and Tilwick, the two Haas brothers, in 7th and 8th. Northern Canuck with a disappointing P9, Tag Delta his teammate in P10, It's Deliberate in P11, Dutch 12th, Tafur 13th, Flying Grayson 14th, and that actually rounds off your slightly smaller than usual grid here in PRL Tier 2. So we'll now have an approximate 3-minute break, after which we will be entering into the main race, which is a 50% race distance event. I'll be quite fascinated to see what tyres people start on, just to give the audience a flavour. It's quite typical to start on the mediums, and then depending on factors such as safety cars or wear or setup, you may elect to go onto a hard tyre, or you may elect to run the medium a bit longer to lap 13 or 14 and then stick on that soft tyre. If someone was to ask me, based on what I've physically seen, having just done the race in Tier 1, I would say that starting on medium and going to soft is probably optimal. If you can hope for a safety car at the start, you just simply stay on the mediums so that you can then push them really hard to lap 14, stick the softs on, and you'll have a fantastic second stint on those softs that won't die as much as perhaps people expect. On the other hand though, if there are no incidents, what you can find is the mediums collapse after 11 or 12 laps and you lose a lot of time. So again, all depending on setups or incidents and so on, you may wish to say pit lap 10 or 11 on the medium and go into the hard. But I think starting on the medium, it gives you that versatility. If you start on the soft or you start on the hard, you're locked in, aren't you? That's kind of a common theme at the moment with the sort of F123 meta, but nonetheless, let's see how people elect to start this race. And again, just to reiterate for anyone that's only just joined, Timgra leads the standings but is unable to make the race. So H-Ins in second, Jimmy Pull-Up in third, and Northern in fourth are all here, as is Noob, currently in fifth in the championship, Tack in sixth, and Dutch in seventh, Tilwick in eighth. And so actually the top 8 of the top 8, only one isn't available. They're all very, very close in the standings. Where, you know, it's only round 9, so there's still, what, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 5 more races after this, and 6 including this one. So anyone probably in that top sort of 8 could still win this championship, I would say. It's all to play for. But I think Dimgra will be disappointed not to have been able to make it today. And I would expect, by any crazy incidents, H-Ins to be leading the championship. On form though, on pure form alone over the last, say, 3 races, and if you were to extrapolate that, you'd have to say, potentially, Jimmy Pull-Up is the dark horse to take this championship. So it is great that after 9 rounds or 8 rounds going into the 9th, there really is no one driver that you could say for sure is going to win this championship, which is considerably better than real F1, it has to be said. And long may that continue in the case of PRL, obviously not in the case of real F1. Okay, with all that said, I think I'm going to grab a drink of water and I'm going to wait for the start of the race. So I will speak to you all in about 1 or 2 minutes. Here we go, away we go, with almost no time for me to react. H-Ins now leads the race. Sati Jackie with a shocking start, gets pushed wide a little bit by Jimmy, and Jimmy makes his way up to second. But now it's going to be a straight shootout between, I think, is it Sati Jackie? No, Noob and Logan getting really close, but they've all kind of backed off and formed a nice straight line, which is good to see. We don't want to see any craziness here in PRL, especially on lap 1. My word, did we suddenly jump into that race out of nowhere. Jimmy Pull-Up though, going for the race lead. Is he going to dive down the inside? Oh, he's had to back off a little bit. H-In's still there. I think both of them got very scared of contact and sensibly almost parted ways like the North Sea. Sorry, like the North Sea, whatever sea it is. Anyway, Sati Jackie though says thank you very much. Runs deep, but does go into P2. He's now got Logan aim, and H-Ins is getting completely swallowed up here since backing off. Got to be really careful not to make contact. You can tell he's driving like a man that does not want to have a DNF on his record. He must be very scared as we approach Radion. Forced quite high up onto the curb. Very surprised that Noob fought that, but you have to say, well done. I mean, Noob did run wide, so I think H-Ins would have some cause for complaint there. But to be fair, good, strong racing from both of them. And it's worked out perfectly for Jimmy Pull-Up, as I think he sets the purple first sector, of course, leading the race, but I think he may have had his first track limit violation there. Looked like all four wheels left the track, but nonetheless doing really, really well. It's really unfortunate for H-Ins to go all the way from starting P2 up into P1 around the outside, and then just having that unfortunate sort of near miss, let's say, with Jimmy Pull-Up and just backing off maybe a little bit too much, maybe being a little bit too cautious. Finds himself down in P5, but very strong pace, and the main thing is he's still in the race. But for Jimmy Pull-Up, this is exactly what he needed to do in order to put a marker down to hopefully claim this championship. Right, who else do we have right now? There's Northern and Dutch. So everyone's starting on the mediums except for H-Ins and Jimmy Pull-Up. That's really fascinating. And with that detail as well, it's just making H-Ins' day even worse, to be honest with you. Tilwick has just got past its deliberate. And we've got Camo Banana in 8th, just sitting behind. Whoa, a nice late move. Is he going to go for it? He is going to try. It's deliberate. Could have given a little bit more room. Camo sensibly just backed out. I think racing incident there. But nice and late on the brakes from Camo, although this time probably not intentional on this corner. Going a bit deep this time, but doing really well. So I think at this stage of the race, everything's kind of sorted itself out. H-Ins potentially with the track limits there. But I think we'll be awaiting lap 3 really, which is when the DRS is activated. But nice and close racing here. H-Ins just taking that corner just how I explained in qualifying, where you stick to the right hand side and really open up that steering wheel on the left hander to get the most exit speed. And he's looking in really good form here. He'll be disappointed with wasting a couple of laps on these softs. But then having said that, Sati Jackie is doing fantastically on the mediums to now be in a position to dive on Jimmy Pull-Up. I think sensibly he's not going for the move just because of the DRS being activated next lap. I think if he got the move there, it would have been risky, and he probably would have just conceded the position after Eau Rouge. But Sati Jackie setting the fastest lap and closing in on Jimmy. I think H-Ins and Sati Jackie are the two to watch right now as we follow all of the cars around lap 3 of 22. Flying Grayson into the pits may have picked up damage, but I'm going to stay on board with Sati Jackie because I really think this is a done deal here. No point even defending that. Sati Jackie steamrolls past Jimmy Pull-Up, who moves across to get a bit better visibility. Now it's really important, and H-Ins of course gets past Noob. I think those two were pretty much a guarantee at this stage with the DRS, but it is now down to building up a gap. So in H-Ins' case, he really needs to push like crazy this lap. As he runs a bit wide there, he's going to lose a bit of time. That's not what you want to do, but he needs to try and gain a second over Noob before the next DRS zone. He can do it on the soft tyre, but it'll be tough. Now Jimmy's doing exactly what you need to do. You see that, I say that he's lost a little bit of time just now. I think he just made a mistake actually as I went on board, but until that mistake, yeah, clearly made a mistake. But before that he was building up towards a 1 second gap on Logan. Instead the tables have just turned, and now Sati Jackie looking very comfortable with that 1 second buffer. For anyone new to F1, 1 second is the gap beyond which you no longer get DRS. So you need to be within 1 second to get the DRS activation, which enables you to lower a flap on your rear wing, and that increases your straight line speed pretty significantly. So Sati Jackie being over 1 second will be very comfortable, won't have to worry too much about battery. In the meantime, I think Jimmy's having a bit of a problem here. I don't know if he's overheated his tyres. I can't quite see. No, his tyres are actually perfect. Both Logan and Jimmy's tyre temps are perfect, but Jimmy just really struggling And a nice bit of driving from Logan, just swinging it around, cutting it in, and right on at the back of Logan, already making his way up to Eau Rouge, even before the DRS activation. So again, I think it's a done deal here for Logan Aim into P2. Let's see. Yeah, nothing Jimmy can do, just moves over and accepts it. We can see it in the distance from H-In's angle, but H-In's in the meantime wasn't quite able to gain that 1 second gap on Noob, but the difference was he had a big enough gap that Noob wasn't able to come back past him. And sometimes that's enough. That's certainly what I had to rely on for a lot of my first stint. Just to have a big enough gap, they can't at least get back past you. But it is a very brutal race if you're outside of DRS. The good news for H-Ins is looking at how he's driving right now, he looks back to his best like he was in quali, and he's already within that 1 second gap to Jimmy Pillup. So I think this race is evolving really nicely. It's a little bit disappointing with Sati Jackie, of course, leading by over a second from the prospect of the racing. But otherwise, P2 all the way down to P5, really, really nice and close. Let's see the winners and losers today. Logan Aim up 3. It was a fantastic, kind of crazy Sector 1 and 2 from him, where he just benefited from other people's sort of wheel-to-wheel racing and mistakes and made the right opportunistic moves. H-In's, of course, quite a significant loser down to It's Deliberate up 4. I completely missed that, so well done to him. Flying Grayson had the issue with his, I think he hit the barrier, so he's still in last, but Dookie Hoser really the only significant loser. Oh, as we said, Northern Canuck just gets past. Tag Delta, his teammate, perhaps a team orders move. But that's really cool, good racing there. And now let's get on board with H-Ins. H-Ins trying desperately to get on the back of Jimmy Pillup. So this sort of 6/10 gap, this is where it gets quite touchy, or quite risky. It's enough to get DRS, but is it enough to actually make a move? Let's stay on board and find out. As Tilwick gets past It's Deliberate into P7, so those two having a good old battle for 7th place. Seems a bit to and fro. But yeah, as you can see, H-In's not even deploying his battery. What's the point when he's that far back? He's just staying within that 1 second. He knows Noob can't get past him. So it might seem a little bit processional, but I think it's a bit misleading really. With Spa, it's just all about smashing it through that Sector 3, and especially that final chicane, getting right on the back of someone's gearbox, and then getting within sort of 2-3 tenths after turn 1 so that you can get the move done. I think all of them racing sensibly here so far. Northern Canuck now really closing in on It's Deliberate, I've just noticed, so I may flick over to him in a second. Difficult to make moves around here. Good strong commitment from Northern though. He might even go for the move. No, I think it would have required battery usage to go for it. But see here's a massive difference, as I tried to highlight earlier. Okay, so Northern did run a bit wide on the exit though, but what he did at the start, which was turning in right early, it really opens up that chicane, and if anyone runs deep, like It's Deliberate, it actually can present an overtaking opportunity. Unfortunately, I think Northern ran a bit wide, so he's lost a bit of the advantage, but he's still well within a second. Oh, and a safety car! Dookie Hoser out of the session. He has binned it in the chicane of Sector 2, which... So we're not going to see it, we're not going to see the car, but just from Flying Grayson's perspective, I will get onto the pitters in a minute, but I believe it's this chicane coming up here. It's quite weirdly not so common in F123, but in previous gens, it always seems that one driver in every race bins it on the exit of that chicane, and if you bin it there, you're going straight into a barrier. So really unfortunate for Dookie, who is now out of the race and finishing last. It's Deliberate, I believe, has picked up a 3-second penalty for track limits. I think the third of which might have been picked up in safety car, which is a bit embarrassing. And sensibly, if you look at the tyre data metric, again, you can see these drivers, you know, people might be saying tier 2, they're slower. Maybe their race pace is slightly slower than a tier 1 or a premier tier, but they certainly have the intellect. You know, you see this, they've responded to the safety car, they figured out that, okay, it's lap 6. If I go onto a soft tyre, they're going to explode. But if I go onto the hard tyre, I can get to the end of the race and I get a cheap pit stop, which more than makes up for the fact that the hard tyre is slower than the soft. Of course, if there's an instant later, they might go to the soft later, but this is a very sensible choice here by these drivers, and I think 8th down to 12th, the ones that have chosen to pit onto the hard, they will be quite happy for that. The only thing I would say is, and I think I mentioned this before the race started, the mediums do tend to really struggle after 11 laps on a normal stint, and you need to try and make it to sort of lap from about lap 13 or 14, in order to get a soft stint that's actually very, very quick. So what could happen here for these top 7 is they decide to stay out all the way through, and having these 2 laps on the safety car means that they can get to lap 14 on the mediums easily, and actually they'll then be running softs from lap, say, 14 or 15 all the way to the end of the race. Oh, Sati Jackie picks up a 3-second penalty under safety car. Slightly embarrassing, and we did catch that on camera, I'm afraid. So as it stands, especially with a safety car, that would theoretically put Sati Jackie down to about P5, maybe P8. Hopefully he can make up the gaps, but that's an interesting error, something he definitely wants to try and iron out in the future. An unfortunate one for him, and Logan Aim would have seen that and been rather delighted. I'm just reading Ramsey's comment. Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting one. I think it is smart of these tier 2 drivers to go onto the hard tyre lap 6 and run to the end. But as I said, at the same time, if you can make these mediums go to lap 14, perhaps having older mediums just a couple of laps against these hard guys won't matter too much because you're going the soft. It's difficult because a lap time around Spa, a pit stop around Spa is close to 20 seconds, I believe. So I think if you were to really try and work it all out, at least from my basic maths, probably going to the hard tyre was the right decision. It's certainly the safer decision. It's all about that difference between soft and hard. It's not something I know. I mean, if a soft tyre can set 2 seconds a lap quicker than a hard from lap 14 to say 20, well, that's a lot of laps with a 2-second advantage, which more than makes up for the pit stop. So I don't know. Maybe someone else in the chat that knows more than me about the strategies and this racetrack could comment. But I think both are viable. Hopefully the safety car will be in this lap because the whole grid has now bunched itself up. So Tafur has made his way. I don't think does the game wait for everyone? I don't know. I hope not, because it seems a bit ridiculous. If that's the case, we may have another lap, because I'm not convinced Flying Grayson is going to make his way up in time. But let's stay on board and see. Certainly isn't pushing like crazy to make it happen. So as it stands, for anyone just joining, there is a slight split in strategy due to the safety car. So these hard runners, if you notice, they're on fresh hard tyres. So Jimmy Pull-Up was leading the race. Has elected to go on the hard, puts him down to P7. H-Ins, I think, even more sensibly pit. So he is in 8th, but he's in 2nd of this group of runners. Meanwhile, Sati Jackie, who I believe was leading the race, remains in the lead, but on warm mediums. Logan Aim, I think, was 3rd up to 2nd. Noob jumps a couple to 3rd, and so on. So it's a bit of a split race. You've got Dutch, interestingly, pitting onto a fresh set of mediums. Not exactly sure about that one. Maybe a damage. But anyway, is the safety car coming in? No, it's not. Which is just really annoying, I'll be honest, because I do not see why the race couldn't have restarted. Because in the nicest way, who really cares if last place is 2.5 seconds behind 12th? I mean, they could have pushed harder to make up to the back of the grid, if I'm being blunt with you. I mean, I watched it on my own VOD just then. They could have gone quicker. So, quite frustrating, if I'm honest. But here we go, another lap under safety car. I don't have too much to add at this stage in the race. I've run through the championship. You can see the tyre status. You can see the penalty status there. Oh my word! Sati Jackie almost destroying back of the safety car. Perhaps a little bit inexperienced in the lead of a race under safety car, but avoids it, which is the main thing. But yeah, it's going to be a straight shootout with the medium runners pitting again, and the hard tyre runners probably not, assuming that there is no incident. So I'm just going to quickly grab a drink, and I will be back in about half a minute. Okay. I'm joining back because there is some chaos. Every time I go to get a drink, I'm denied. Noob has lost his front wing. What on earth has happened there? completely flips his race on his head. Let me just jump to Discord, see if I can find out anything there. Someone saying what's just happened to Noob. I have no idea. Was it just a lapse in concentration? I have no idea what it is, what's caused it, but either way, his race is in an absolute travesty of a situation now, because the safety car will be coming in this lap. He will have to pit, and he will be going onto the hard tyres, and he will be down in last place in 13th. So that is really unfortunate for him. What a shame. Of course, it does help all the other runners. Logan Aim, his car looks okay. Sati Jackie, despite narrowly destroying the back of the safety car, is okay. Northern Canuck up into P5 will be on the worn mediums, if I can speak. And race control has just confirmed the safety car is in this lap. So let's prepare to go racing once more. Let's stay on board with Noob's perspective. In fact, Logan's, because we know Noob's going to dive into the pit. So here we go. Sati Jackie doing a good job of backing up the grid. And straight onto that power and exits off the chicane. Quite an easy, exemplary restart really from Sati Jackie, but quite an easy one around this track, because the chicane just helps you so much as the race leader. Logan Aim though, only half a second behind. And it looks like, did Sati Jackie make a mistake? Sati Jackie must have lost the rear end on exit. It looked okay on the screen, but he suddenly dropped a lot of time. Oh, and Logan Aim's run completely off the track. Interesting. May have to concede the place. And he does so. So he allows, I believe, Logan Aim back through after cutting the corner quite clearly. Running wide. How unexpected. Both these guys maybe not warming up the tyres. What's even crazier, though, is the massive gap down to P3. There's all sorts of scenes. As I say, Noob pits in onto the hard tyre, down in last by 15 seconds from 12th on a fresh set of hards till the end. So his race in real turmoil from that. All sorts of crazy stuff going on though. So we've got Jimmy pull up now on the back of TAC Delta. So this is looking good for the hard runners right now, if they're able to get past some of these medium guys. Oh, TAC Delta running very, very wide. Jimmy may activate the battery and go for a remove. Nope. But now, because he's backed out, oh, H-In's pushed onto the grass. And he's going to roll wide, and he's going to make contact with Camo, his teammate. Camo doing a really good job, actually. Very selfless from Camo, it has to be said, because Camo did nothing wrong there. You know, ultimately, H-Ins did run wide right to the side of him, but Camo respected his teammate, respected the championship, backed off, and ultimately has lost a bunch of places because of it, which is super unfortunate, but great awareness from Camo there, because H-Ins could have been in all sorts of trouble had Camo stuck to his line, which he kind of would have been entitled to do. So very close racing here, and there's a spin. Is it Jimmy Pull-Up? What has caused that is absolute carnage in Tier 2. Jimmy Pull-Up turns back onto the track. Oh no, is in all sorts of trouble. His car looks okay, but he's all the way down in 11th. I did not see what happened. It must have been some contact in the chicane or through the chicane. And it looked like the Mercedes just turned to the left and almost blocked the track. Sensibly ran off, but this race is just twisting and turning. Right now, Northern Canuck, who would have expected Northern Canuck on 9-lap-old mediums up into 3rd place in the Williams. Fantastic driving from him, but it's just absolute chaos now. Camo Banana, would you believe it? Like, I don't know how, but Camo Banana, who was so selfless, to give room to H-Ins, has actually now found himself the leader of the hard tyre pack. And don't forget, the leader of the hard tyre pack could well win this race. So it's really interesting. Now, will he let H-Ins through? In the nicest way, I think H-Ins is actually slightly quicker around this track, or at least today. So I wonder what they'll do. H-In's really struggling with the turn in at Radeon. I would say just being a little bit too aggressive on the hard tyres. They're not as good as the softs. You can't get that turn in, and Camo as well, clearly just racing a little bit too hard. They're running quite wide. They need to just calm it down a little bit and settle into a rhythm desperately, because Sati Jackie is still quite considerably far ahead, and when he pits onto those softs, he is going to be very, very rapid. In the meantime, Noob has already made his way up into 11th. So I think it's... Oh, no! Okay, so I think it's because of a Jimmy spin. Hopefully, there was no contact that caused that. But Jimmy's race, after doing so well, seems to have just completely ended. Dutch, I think, has some issues, perhaps some connectivity issues. Finds himself in last. I'm going to put that down to bad internet on his side, because his car looks fine. He's ghosted. Tells me there's an issue on his server, or like with his machine. It's really unfortunate. Jimmy pull up though all the way in last and on hard tyres. It's just, he needs a safety car at this point. That's really unfortunate. In the meantime, DRS has been enabled and Logan Aim is making the most of it to close back in and reel in Sati Jackie for the race lead. Very hard to call this race at this point. Camo Banana on the attack with his deliberate, not much room, and H-in sneaks through. I have to say, a fantastic save from Camo to put opposite lock on with the tyre, with the steering lock, but also to tap that brake, but not so much that he actually spins inwards. So good driving. Oh my word! And what is going on with its deliberate there? Completely unexpected slowdown. Has Camo survived? I don't know. And H-in's running wide again, just keeps it on the track, but my word, is he pushing. Oh, and Camo overtaken by Tafur in all the chaos. It is all happening here today in PRL Tier 2 at Spa. It's round 9. And Tafur moves off the racing line. Has he got an issue? I don't know. But he seems to have just allowed the two drivers through. Maybe made a bit of contact. It's almost like survival of the fittest at this point. It's just about survival. I mean, Camo's got a massive overspeed on his deliberate. Has he got an issue with his car? Just something's just are not adding up to me at all. Because his deliberate looks fine, but how on earth did he have that exit through there and allow Camo back through? Oh, what's going on here? Oh no! Tafur really missing his braking zone. Plows his way through. Forces his deliberate off the track. But somehow everyone survives, and actually Tafur's up in 6th. I don't know. I don't know what is going on. An absolute missile, that AlphaTauri, sorry. But finds himself in P6. I mean, great driving from the others to avoid it. Slightly crazy though on the brakes, I have to say. Very lucky. Logan Aim not quite able to catch up to the back of Sati Jackie, but it's putting him under a lot of pressure. Oh no! Oh no, that's got to be a safety car. Right, guys. I mean, I only joined at the end. And you know, you've got to you know, be impartial. I don't know what happened. I mean, I only just joined as it happened. Maybe you guys can comment or form your own opinions. All I will say is I'm not exactly sure where Tilwick was expected to go, because he had a barrier on the grass on his left-hand side. And now some driving may have sort of preempted that. Maybe something happened just before, but certainly at the point I joined onto, Tilwick, to me, looked as far left as he possibly could be. To first sent absolutely flying though, must have damage. That was a huge impact. He's a very lucky boy to not have DNF, but some crazy scenes from Tafur in the AlphaTauri over the last 2 laps. Might not be too happy with himself, but I don't know, it'd be interesting to hear what he says after the race. Of course, something that could be some mitigating circumstances. Now I have to say, I really do have to say that this is an interesting point in the race. If you're a soft runner, you've got to pit. It's just as simple as that. Now, I assume you pit and you go on the soft tyre, because you've got at least another lap under safety car, and you can go from lap 13 on the softs. So I think this should give pole position, the initiative, to these top 3. So Sati, Jackie, Logan, and the big winner, Northern Canuck, they should all be pitting on the soft, and they should be able to see it through to the end and keep track position. Now H-ins and co, they should also now pit and also go on the soft, but essentially their advantage of pitting on that hard tyre during the first safety car has completely evaporated. So really bad luck. I think it couldn't have been timed any better for those medium runners in the top 3. The good news for Jimmy Pull-Up is that he can also pit onto the soft tyre and at least be back in with a shot of getting points. Now, has anyone chosen not to pit? So H-Ins has chosen to go on the medium tyre. Now, that's not as crazy as it sounds. It's a fresh set of mediums, and he'll be able to push it 100% with no risk. However, I do think because of the fact the safety car's out, the soft tyres will be very rapid all the way through to the end of the race. So I definitely would have pit onto the soft. The thing you definitely probably should not have done, if I'm going to be completely blunt, is pit on the hard. I just don't think that's the right move. Again, it's only an opinion, but I don't see a world in which you do well out of that. So it'll be interesting to see. Noob electing to keep track position though, so electing not to even pit. Now that could be shrewd. Okay, yes, he is going to be on the slowest tyre of the grid, but he's in P3, and there are only 9 laps left, probably 8 laps once this safety car comes in, because Dutch is miles behind, unfortunately for him, having a bit of a difficult race. Dutch has just pit, and I'm very sorry to say he's just pit onto a worn set of mediums. That's really unfortunate. They will make it to the end. They'll make it to the end, but they'll be shocking. Absolutely shocking. I would pit again and pit onto the soft. But then this is where the game meta comes in. I don't know how the game works. Does the game pit... it seems like the game only triggers a safety car either after 3 laps or earlier if the whole grid bunches up. So I think this is now what... This is the first full lap under safety car. So if that logic's correct, I think Dutch could simply just do quite a fast lap now, pit onto the soft, and then hopefully catch up. I mean, it's not exactly what we want to see as viewers, but I think that's what's going to happen. Obviously, the worry for him is if he pits onto the soft now, he could end up finding himself 20 seconds behind when the safety car gets called, in which case he's lost the race. It's as simple as that. Some interesting ones here. I definitely think Noob going on to staying out on 4 lap old hards is actually quite clever. He has no penalty. Sati Jackie has a penalty, and if he can hold it out in a DRS train, he'll be able to probably finish in maybe a top 5 position, which, given everything, given where he was and what's going on, might not be the worst result for him. But certainly Sati Jackie and Logan Aim, for me, they are just in such a great position, in a far superior position to the rest of the grid. Noob may even act as a bit of a buffer for them. And I think Sati Jackie may slightly have the pace on Logan. So if I was to call it, I would say these top 2 could well be almost locked in. But of course, it's racing. Anything can happen. And you can never say anything for certain. H-In's on the fresh mediums. I think he'll have quite a straightforward time getting past Northern and Noob. That's my honest opinion there. But having Camo behind him as his teammate may well prove to be a blessing. But the common theme this race has been it's deliberate, or someone always being just behind Camo. So at the end of the day, Camo can't just back off. I think maybe some comms needed, but I think if Camo has DRS and he's able to get past H-Ins, I actually think he may need to make the move past H-Ins, because if he just sits behind H-Ins, he's kind of almost being too nice, and he's allowing its deliberate or tack to make a late lunge, and it could also cause incidents actually. So it's a difficult one there. I hope that H-Ins can set fantastic lap times and almost leave Camo in a position where he can race really hard. But towards the end of this sort of last stint before the SC was called, it was getting very dicey, and you saw just how many near misses there are. And ultimately, Alpine is the team that is really trying to get the Constructors' Championship. H-Ins is probably favourite along with Jimmy Pillup and Timgra to win the championship. So it's very difficult to judge. Always a lot of variables. But overall, some pretty clean racing. There were definitely a few questionable moments, let's say, with some braking, with maybe Tafur and a few things through the chicane. But on the whole, it's been quite good. Flying Grayson completely redeemed after a pretty shocking first stint. He finds himself in P11. So a great recovery from him, so well done. In P11 on a fantastic set of mediums. No damage, no penalties. So already looking like 10th place at the moment, and maybe even better. Now, Camo and its deliberate on the soft, I'm intrigued to see how they fare. In theory, they should be able to make up places. And it's just, really, we've just been blessed with this fantastic setup, because you've almost got a soft tyre sandwich here. I think if you look at P8 down and you kind of make the assumption that they probably won't step up into the top 7 positions just because of the tyre situation, then really you focus on the top 7. So you've got these 2 soft runners. Will they be able to jump H-Ins, Northern and Noob? Again, like I said, there's that massive element with Camo and his teammate, which is going to cause potentially massive issues. And then you've got Noob. Can he actually hang on in the middle of this sandwich with everything that's going on? And then Logan and Sati, will they just be able to run away with it because of the buffer, or will the camo and deliberate duo, and perhaps Ins, immediately get past Noob and fight? I mean, it's as simple really as that when it comes to questioning the race. H-Ins has to get past Noob and Norban. Sorry, I can't even speak today. If he wants to win this race. So we've been really set up well here, and the safety car is coming in this lap. And again, Satyajaki has that 3-second penalty, but he has the benefit of track position, and he has the benefit of dictating the pace for this safety car restart on lap 14 of 22. Has he gone really early? He's just absolutely gone for it. Now, a bit of an odd one, because with the chicane, you normally just use the chicane as a way to maximise traction. Not convinced this really worked, but I mean, certainly Noob won't be complaining. Northern Canuck seems to be the driver that's got unfortunately caught out there, but a very interesting restart. I mean, at least he tried to vary it, tried to mix it up, but Logan is all over the back of him. Will Logan elect to use battery, or will he just sit behind? This is where it gets quite interesting. He's choosing not to use battery, and he even lifted a little bit. So playing the long game. I completely understand that. Running a bit wide though. And Noob will be absolutely loving this. H-Ins. He needs to step it up a little bit. He needs to get down on that throttle earlier. He needs to close it within a second. Yeah, he desperately needs to be getting past Northern and Noob on these soft tyres. These are critical laps for their race, because with every lap that they don't get past, it's another lap that they are not closing in on Satyajaki and Logan Aim, and it really probably is a podium at stake at this point. Of course, who knows, Logan and Saty, they could tangle. Logan Aim just staying within the DRS range, but I tell you what, it's a little bit too close for comfort for me. Satyajaki really doing a fantastic job. Runs a bit wide though through the chicane, but still keeps pace. Yeah, I think ultimately running wide there probably cost Satyajaki the 1 second buffer. But still looking really strong. Yeah, so Logan's done just enough. Oh, I say that. Yeah, just enough. He should use some battery though if I was him. Oh, mate, use some battery. Don't get caught out. Oh, he's been caught out. Very, not amateur, but something to learn there. Satyajaki, I immediately saw, you know, when it's within a 1 second gap, you know the driver in front is going to use that battery. You know he's going to use ERS, because he's going to fling it out of that corner and try and catch you off guard and get over a 1 second gap. And all you need to do to respond is do the same thing. You need to just use your battery off that hairpin of T1. Unfortunately, he didn't do that, and it's honestly, it costs you a lot more than you think doing that, because he has to then use his battery and a lot of skill to actually get himself back into the 1 second window. Meanwhile, Satyajaki on a nice high battery can just play it safe and just react to whatever you do. So if you try and close in, he uses the battery. So that's a real shame for Logan. But H-Ins now only, well, less than 2 tenths behind Noob. He's going to try and go for it around the outside and misses his braking zone. Oh, it's a safety car. What's happened? Oh, there is a car in a very bad spot. And is that, who is that? It's deliberate. Oh, no. Oh, what a shame. And Tilwick has been given an embarrassing drive-through pen for speeding under the safety car. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there. But that is absolutely horrific for him, because he will not be able to serve it until the safety car comes in. And the safety car probably won't be coming in until lap 18 or 19. And it's going to relegate him all the way to last. Now, the great news for Dutch, who seems to have massive connectivity issues, which is super sad to see, but if he were here, the great news for him is he could now put a fresh set of softs on and be able to fight. Now the question is, what do these drivers do? I'm not convinced pitting here makes any sense, if I'm being blunt. If you've got damage, that's fair. Logan ain't pitting onto the soft there? I'm not sure. I think it is just an experience thing, you know, he's young, he's new to the league. I think using that ERS would have been good, and I think this pit stop was not the right call, because a soft tyre with only 4 laps of wear, but having a couple laps of safety car on that stint, it means that you'll be able to absolutely race them 100% with fantastic pace all the way to the checkered flag. So Sati, Jackie, Northern, H-Ins, Camo, like all these guys like not pitting, it just made sense. So now Noob, I think Noob making a pit stop and Jimmy, I think those two were the two drivers where it made sense, because yeah, the Ferrari of Noob was on the hard tyre and he had a couple of issues. So being in P8 on fresh softs, that makes sense. And again, Jimmy, as we've said earlier, he had that spin, had that incident, was all the way back. So why not go on the soft tyres and go for a late charge? He hasn't got that much to lose from P10. So I think those two guys makes a lot of sense. You could maybe say the same for Tack. I don't know though. I think I would have stayed out in Tack's shoes, and I definitely would have stayed out in Tilwick's shoes. And of course, getting the drive-through for him just rubs salt in the wound. I'm just reading the chat. Yeah, okay, Logan, and that makes a lot of sense, mate. Just reading his message, he's saying that his AI made him pit, so he must have paused the race briefly, and it pit him. And honestly, that makes sense, and that's the main thing. You know, at least he knew that pitting was not the right choice, and that's such a shame. He was in P2 on a fantastic set of softs that he clearly knew could make it to the end. I mean, the only benefit is that he's on the freshest set of tyres in the top 6. So in theory, at least with the medium and the hard runners, he should have a crazy amount of overspeed. I think it's going to be quite a nervous restart. I think there's going to be some drivers here that are going to be quite anxious. For example, H-Ins, maybe Northern, and also Camo, just because of his teammate being in front. Again, with Tafur and Logan, again, it's a teammate duo. So it's a tough one. Any of these guys go for too aggressive a move, they can risk taking out their teammate. Or they can risk taking out their teammate who's also a championship contender. So there's so much risk at the moment. Now, is the safety car going to do an early entry? I really bloody hope so. No, it's not. So one more lap after under safety car, hopefully the last one. But yeah, this is an interesting race. Yeah, I think it is really the same as before, where Sati Jackie's just in such a fantastic position. Okay, he's got the 3-second penalty, and I know that's going to potentially be an issue because of how many little laps we have left. You know, I'm not missing that dynamic, and certainly will pay attention to that. But having a hard tyre runner behind you and a medium tyre runner behind that, in theory you should be able to, still with 5-lap-old softs, build up a half-decent gap against it. The key thing would just be getting out of that DRS range immediately. Sati Jackie has to smash it on the restart, and then he has to just build on it. I think if he even has 1 lap with Northern Canuck behind, he's going to struggle to break that and gain a 3-second lead. So at this point in the race, if someone was to ask me to call the race winner, I don't think I'd be able to say. It's crazy, yeah. I mean, I can see a world in which H-Ins wins this race because of Sati Jackie's 3-second penalty. It's just, there's a lot of ifs. Someone needs to make the big move on the restart, obviously in a safe way, and get past into where they need to be. I mean, maybe Camo could be a dark horse on those soft tyres. It's just so tough with his teammate ahead, especially knowing that his teammate is probably the championship favourite. I mean, the only person we know, the only 2 drivers we know it's race over for, Tilwick because of the drive-through, and Dutch because he is disconnected, which is so unfortunate. And his AI is so stupid, it hasn't even put him in the box for softs. It's just painful to see from the AI. Hopefully those that are watching have enjoyed the race though. Obviously feel free to leave a comment. Always good to say hi. Please subscribe to the Twitch channel if you are enjoying yourself. We race every Sunday across 3 tiers, starting at, I believe, wow, my brain's eluding me now. Is it 5:45 maybe? Or is it 5:30 or something like that? We start with Premier tier, and then 6:30, I think 5:15 Premier tier BST, 6:30 tier 1 BST, and then 7:45 tier 2. And that's what you're watching now. So 3 tiers, they race it out every Sunday. Very close racing. We have obviously commentators, myself, Lucas Aid commentating this race. We've got stewards. So yeah, please subscribe and comment if you're enjoying it. If you're interested in racing, then feel free to actually join the Discord. The link's in the bio. And finally, if you ever want to replay these races, perhaps you enjoyed this one in particular, or maybe you're a driver and you just want to see your action later, normally these videos are transferred and uploaded onto YouTube on Mondays and Tuesdays. Wow, Sati Jackie's already gone. He has completely caught Northern napping. I think that's the second safety car period in which Northern has been caught napping. And I said about what Sati Jackie needed to do to win this race. I mean, he's already done it. He's already done it within no corners of the restart. He's done it before the restarts even happened. And H-Ins is not going to be happy about that either, really. They would have needed this to be closed up. So Northern Canada caught napping for the second time this race will be kicking himself. So at the moment, the battle was probably going to be for second place. And then can Sati Jackie now smash out 3 seconds worth of an interval? So many interesting questions as TAC Delta gets a 3-second penalty. Oh my word! What a massive crash at high speed from Flying Grayson. And oh my days, has it actually called out another safety car? Well, the crash was massive. Probably the sort of crash that could actually injure a driver in real life. It was an absolute tank slapper into the wall. But do you know what? I'm not sure what excuse me. I am not sure what initiated that contact. All I know is that Noob had just overtaken someone. And I think Flying Grayson was up there in P8 or 9. And it just all went wrong. I'd love to have seen what happened there, but I was just not expecting a car to fly off. And I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's a few things I can summarise that are pretty much common sense. Sati Jackie's race ruined. Absolutely ruined. No other way of saying it. Tilwick's race redeemed. Because when I said it was game over for him, it was on the assumption that obviously there wouldn't be another safety car. But he's going to have the opportunity to catch all the way up on soft tyres. So you never know, he could get a top 8 or a top 7. The thing I hate about these late safety cars is they do often cause other late safety cars because no drivers are perfect. They get a bit too over-eager, a bit too aggressive, which no one wants to see. And then it kind of causes a chain reaction. So it's now caused another safety car. Well, what's going to happen on this safety car restart? Probably another crazy accident. The only good news is we've had so much craziness in this race, so many safety cars, that hopefully the game's internal cooldown will be met and there won't be any safety cars. I know that that's a controversial point. Some people think, well, at the end of the day, if someone crashes, there's a safety car. But I don't know, it's a video game, man. I want to see racing. I don't want to see people losing the race because of a million safety cars over 22 laps, which is completely unrealistic. And it's kind of meant to be a simulation, but without ruining the fun. So I actually think safety car cooldowns are good. I just hate having safety cars all the time. I think even one safety car in a race is annoying half the time, let alone 3 or 4. So I really hope this is the last one. I personally do not like the fact the safety car was called, and I just really feel sorry for Sati Jackie. He just made one little mistake under safety car. He otherwise drove a flawless race, didn't tangle with anyone. Because of other people's, let's just say, aggressiveness, really, he's going to probably find himself in P3 or 4, maybe 5. And it's painful, and especially after such a good safety car relaunch. So I do feel for him. He's going to be kicking himself in the car. He's probably figured out all of this for himself. Northern well, he stayed out on the hard tyre, and because of the amount of safety cars, he's just basically been gifted track position. No one's been able to even overtake him. Assuming that we restart at the end of lap 20, that means there'll be 2 laps of green light racing. Only 1 lap will have DRS. So I would imagine that, assuming Northern Canada does nothing wrong, his worst finish here is probably going to be 3rd place. Let's take a look at the winners and losers. Camo up 2, Northern up 7. Just good decision making in those safety cars. H-Ins with a great recovery. Remember, he went up to 1st place after lap 1. But then, sorry, by sector 1. But I think by sector 2, avoiding Jimmy Pull-Up, found himself down in P5. But has slowly but surely recovered himself up to P3. And will certainly be looking to win this race. Make no doubt about it. The race win should be his only aim. Anything less is, quite frankly, silly. Race win or nothing at this point for him. Of course, without crashing out. His teammate having a very, very strong race. Great performance, almost shielding his championship protagonist and teammate H-Ins. And up 2 places. Logan back where he started to fill up 7 as the safety car, of course, is announced to be coming in this lap. Noob down 3, a bit unfortunate for him. I think the safety cars haven't really helped at this point. And the rest, well, Jimmy had that massive incident, I think, on the chicane, and I think he then spun out again on worn tyres. He has been gifted a way back in, but again, as I say, without repeating myself, the second safety car's kind of killed the race for him as well, because he had this fantastic opportunity to make up many places and hopefully get maybe a top 5. But with this safety car, well, there's only 2 laps of green light racing, so what can you expect? Probably P7? P7 if he's lucky, maybe a DNF if someone crashes into him. It's just absolute carnage today. But with all that said, Sati Jackie has gone for the early relaunch, and he hasn't quite caught Northern out as badly, but he's still caught him out more than you might like to admit. Yet again, over a 1 second advantage before making it past the start finish line. I think Northern's going to watch back this race and probably cringe or facepalm himself. H-Ins will be loving it though. I think he was ready for this to happen and is already all over the back of Northern Canuck. Wow, that Ferrari of Noob is looking rapid. And he gets past Tafur, but... Oh dear, Tafur not really leaving enough room for Noob, if I'm honest. They're still going wheel to wheel. Noob again runs wide. He's going to have to brake late here. It's going to be difficult, but he should be able to keep the move on those soft tyres. Tell you what, Tafur did a fantastic job there, though. Oh, look at this. We're still going, and it's right. It's all gone extremely wrong. It's all gone extremely wrong, and a very very unsafe re-entry there from Tafur for good measure. Oh my word. That was the sort of incident that I knew would end badly. I didn't want to say it, but you just knew it would. Neither were giving an inch. I do have to say, again, it's just a commentator's opinion. It means nothing. I think Tafur solely to blame for that one. Did not give enough room. Slightly sideswiped Noob, who's just been so unfortunate all race. But look at this. H-Ins in all the chaos made it past Northern. Completely missed that. I mean, what can you expect? There's too much going on. Logan aim all over the back of Camo. So the Alpine's now splitting. Oh my word! And a very late move from Camo. Was it intentional? I have no idea, but he's completely caught out Northern. He just seems to have been caught by many things, but did well to avoid the contact. And Northern now fighting his hardest back on Camo, who, to be fair to him, probably feels a bit sorry for him. Maybe understands he made a bit of a late lunge there, wasn't quite on, and kind of allows Northern back through. It's quite fortunate not to have Logan get past him. Anyway, oh, and okay, Dutch is retired, but it was AI control anyway, so it's just bullshit. I mean, he's had such an unlucky time. I can barely keep up with what I'm saying. I've got to watch this. Oh my word, late movement there from H-Ins potentially. Boxes out Camo. Oh dear. Bit unfortunate there. H-Ins kind of boxing out. Oh dear. Yeah, sorry, Camo even. Sorry, Camo boxing out Northern, I should say. And allowing Logan back through. Difficult. But what I wanted to finally say, Sati Jackie, he's done it. He's over 3 seconds clear of H-Ins. And he is on course for a victory. But will H-Ins come back? It's basically a qualifying shootout. And a fantastic line taken from H-Ins through there. That's just how you're meant to do it. Oh, it's going to be so tight. What an unusual race to be this sort of inaugural disconnect. Oh, what's happened? Sati Jackie's binned it on the exit of R13, I think it's called. Oh no! He has completely binned it. He must have hit that curb just panicking. Oh, and that's unacceptable. Oh no, that's unacceptable though. I'm going to be honest, he's going to get an extremely strong talking to for that one. He's probably going to be given a final warning for that. Apologies to the viewers for seeing the deliberate DNF, which we do not tolerate in any shape or form at PRL, no matter what happens to you in the race. H-Ins a winner. Fantastic drive from him. It was such a crazy final sector. He wasn't quite within the 3 seconds, and I don't think he would have done it, you know. I just think Sassy Jackie felt the pressure just a little bit too much and made that mistake. Camo Banana in 2nd place after all of that. I mean, I barely missed what happened at the end. Why is Noob in 4th? Why is Northern in 5th? I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, guys. I missed it. There was just so much going on there. A crazy race. I did my best to keep up. Some good racing. I think towards the end it did deteriorate, I'll be honest. But I want to say, actually, and I'm glad that it's done this. I was going to say that my driver of the day is actually Camo Banana. He was so clean, so sensible, bided his time, looked after his teammate, didn't do anything that would cross the line, and I think he really deserved his finishing position. So well done to him. He is my driver of the day. Fantastic job. And the Alpine boys can both be super happy. I think him and Camo were the best drivers on the day. To answer the question for anyone on the stream, Sassy Jackie unfortunately I think dipped a tyre on the right hander of sector 3 that leads to the back straight and span into the barrier, which I think caused his front wing to come off. I'm not going to comment on what he may or may not have done afterwards, but I think he might be in trouble. So anyway, moving on from that slightly negative touch to the end of the race. Otherwise, some fantastic driving from a lot of these guys in difficult conditions, a lot of unexpected safety cars, a lot of thinking on your feet, a lot of late safety car pit stop calls. And not too many penalties either, although those that did have penalties, you'll notice finishing way down the order. And that's always the disappointment with safety cars. And I have to say, the last safety car, in some ways, kind of ruined the race. It did also flip the race on its head, though. It just depends if you're a purist or not, I guess. In my mind, I think it took away a little bit. But nonetheless, a fantastic effort from these guys. And it was good to be back commentating on Tier 2. Always a pleasure. And the result is H-Ins rounds off in 1st place in the Alpine. His teammate Camo, I think, drove it today. Fantastic 2nd place from him. So sensible and calm under pressure. Logan Aim doing really well to recover. Remember, the AI took over his car and pit him for no reason. So negative points for Codemasters, but positive points there for Logan to recover to P3. A little bit of luck, though. No P4. Northern P5. Bit of a mixed bag from him. Jimmy 6th, Tilwick 7th, Tack 8th, Tafur 9th, Sati 10th. Oh my. Flying Grayson with the first DNF 11th, Islibert 12th, Dookie 13th, and Dutch with the DSQ, but he was disconnected, so ignore that. He essentially never was able to partake in the race. And my word, I'm a bit out of breath. I think I need a massive, like a gallon of water at this point. But thank you for staying tuned. In terms of what will happen to the championship, well, H-Ins will now be leading the championship. So if you enjoyed that, please subscribe. Please maybe join the Discord if you want to take part. But otherwise, I'll see you all hopefully next weekend. In fact, no, I'm actually on a stag do, so you will see someone next weekend, but not me. But I do hope you do join us next weekend and hopefully see another close battle in Premier Tier 1 and Tier 2 for round 10. Anyway, thanks to everyone for joining and have a fantastic day.